Hello guys, my name is NaToSaphiX. So today it's actually NaToSaphiX because this video is made in collaboration with Play.gg. Today we'll be taking a look at Spinx in Vitality. It's gonna be the second time around, but he has been struggling recently and we'll try to figure out why. Spinx to Vitality had the potential to be one of the absolute best roster moves of 2022, and yet now he has just 0.97 rating past 3 months. Having watched a couple of demos, I'll be trying to give my point of view on why he seems to be struggling. When watching Spinx recently, I just get the feeling it's a player who isn't in flow. Now, there are obviously some rounds that are unlucky, but he also has rounds like this, which could have easily been avoided. The Spinx of Ends was an absolute aim demon who seemed to never ever lose a fair fight. And yet, in this demo, we see the exact opposite. I am honestly not too worried about Spinx's mechanics, but I'm worried when I watch rounds like this, where CSGO double entries in mid, and when we go over to Apex's point of view, he is just absolutely charging up mid, getting a third kill onto Robs, and then when we go to Spinx, he is just kind of stationary. There are a few rounds, especially here on Inferno, where it seems like he's completely missing the timings. This one is the best example of that. Spinx is ready to jump into the balcony room when he hears a flash thrown from Boiler to check Eps, and then he hears Robs running all the way back from Eps. Now this is a huge timing that Spinx could have taken, and instead he ends up just waiting. When the nade gets thrown into the balcony area, he steps back into the nade and takes 40 damage. Watching it from Twist's point of view paints a very clear picture of him having very little focus on Boiler at this moment. Now Spinx might have died to Brokey holding mid if you would like hit some crazy flick, but it is possible for Spinx in this moment to ask for a flash. And that was the biggest issue that I saw. In many of these rounds it seemed like Spinx was kind of more a bystander than a hero, and it felt like just in general he was really scared of making plays, something that we definitely didn't see from him in Ends. On CT side, in the few rounds that we saw, it didn't honestly look any better, and he had many questionable decisions made, like in this round where he gets naded down to roughly 40 health, and then of all the places to hide, he decides to go in the closest of corners. Now I assume this is some kind of setup that Vitality runs, and I guess with Spinx on 100 HP this could have made sense, but with the low HP I just don't see how he's ever gonna win this first duel on Twists, and he doesn't. Here is another round where I do have some question marks. Here Spinx actually ends up in a pretty good position after the flash behind the wooden wall. And I realize Apex doesn't have a flash, but I feel like for Spinx it's better to hide here and wait for the teams to walk into his aim than peeking dry. In the final round of the first game that we watched, Spinx is defending the B bomb site with an MP9 when Twists fails the CT smoke. Spinx gets a clean kill onto Twists and then follows it up with another kill on Brokey, but in a 16-6 match, Spinx does end on the bottom with just 9 kills and 12 deaths. Moving over to Vertigo, and we definitely see Spinx in much better form. Not exactly at his Ends type of level, but we do see him in better form. Here he trades Apex, he gets a kill onto Snappy, and somehow there is some communication that breaks down here as Spinx gets killed in the back. It seems that on both Vertigo and Inferno, Spinx ended up in a lot of situations where it just seems unreasonable to even expect him to get any sort of impact. Take this round as an example where he peeks 2 rifles with a deagle. Like, how is he supposed to kill people like this? Now that we have identified and addressed some of the issues for Spinx in Vitality, we have to look at the root cause of these issues, and I'm honestly not sure if it's his individual decision making that is poor currently, or if it's like a team thing where Vitality are not using him correctly or putting him in the right spots. This is one of the more impactful rounds for Spinx in this match, and even then his impact is still sort of negligible. He gets a very key frag onto Snappy, which leaves Valde and Sunpayus to save in this round. It is only 1 kill though, but he does his job pretty well as a lurk here. Do you want to see a round where it's clear that the Spinx we all know and love is hidden in there somewhere? Well, then you should look no further. In this one, he opens up onto Madden, and then he even doubles up with another clean kill onto Sunpayus. I just showed you a round where Spinx was just chilling in mid for an entire minute, and here is another one. There are far too many rounds where he just seems to be a full passive lurk, and I would really like to see him either create some kind of pressure or a distraction or anything to give his teammates some space. I think that's really one of the biggest reasons why sometimes in these lurk positions he seems a little bit like a fish out of water. It seems like he understands the passive lurk and also somewhat the timings, but it's very rare that we see him create any sort of pressure or distraction or try to go for an entry kill on a timing, and I just feel like it would fit him really well because he has one of the strongest aims on the entire scene. I'm not deliberately trying to paint a super negative picture about this guy because I think he's a great guy, and honestly I think he's a phenomenal player as well, but look how he kind of overextends without his teammates pressing the bomb plant here. His teammates are not fighting with him and the bomb has not been tapped, so there's like only focus on him, and it just seems like a bad decision. Yet another round where he actually has a pretty decent lurk timing, but if you look at the timer at the top, check how long it takes for him to actually go for this. Now he doesn't know if the T's are playing up on A directly, so I understand he's sitting back here, but now he needs to go and just keep going, and it seems like he's still like clearing angles and waiting for his teammates. He misses the mark once again, and because he misses this timing, he just ends up in another horrible spot, and these are the rounds that I feel like really cost him. I am almost 100% sure that it's not the fact that he's incapable of catching these timings, and it's also not that he doesn't know how to do it. It's just that he doesn't have the confidence with him right now, and he just seems uncomfortable. I hope that the clips I've shown you today have given you a more clear picture of why Spinx is kind of struggling. A guy who's not struggling is the guy that we're gonna end with. I had to include this Saivu highlight because even when the video is not about Saivu, it always, in some way, is about Saivu. I have been NaToSaphiX for Play.gg, and thank you so much for watching the video.